I'm Jeremy. Today's day 267 of reading. Today we're reading Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Let's get started. We're on page 332. Interruption. But now he said, dragons we can deal with, Harry. But we'll get to that in a minute. I haven't got long here. I broke it into a wizarding house to use the fire, but they could be back at any time. There are things I need to warn you about. What? Said Harry, feeling his spirits slip further a few notches. Surely there couldn't be nothing worse than dragons coming. Karkaroff, said Cyrus. Harry, he was a Death Eater. You know what Death Eaters are, don't you? Yes, What? He was caught. He was in Azkaban with me, but he got released. I'd bet everything that's why Dumbledore wanted an hour at Hogwarts this year to keep an eye on him. Moody caught Karkaroff, put him in Azkaban in the first place. Karkaroff got released? Harry said slowly. His brain seemed to be struggling to absorb yet another piece of shocking information. Why did they release him? He did a deal with the Ministry of Magic, said Cyrus bitterly. He said he'd seen the errors of his way, and then he named names. He put a load of other people into Azkaban in his place. He's not very popular there, I can tell you. And since he got out, from what I can tell, he's been teaching the dark arts to every student who passes that school of his. So watch out for the Durmstrang champion as well. Okay, said Harry slowly, but are you saying Karkaroff put my name in the goblet? Because if he did, he's a really good actor. He seemed furious about it. He wanted to stop me from competing. We know he's a good actor, said Cyrus, because he convinced the Ministry of Magic to set him free, didn't he? Now, I've been keeping an eye on the Daily Prophet, Harry. You and the rest of the world, said Harry bitterly. And reading between the lines of that Skeeter woman's article last month, Moody was attacked the night before he started at Hogwarts. Yes, I know she said it was another false alarm, Cyrus said hastily, seeing Harry about to speak. But I don't think so, somehow. I think someone tried to stop him from getting to Hogwarts. I think someone knew their job would be a lot more difficult with him around. And no one's going to look into it too closely. Mad Eye's heard intruders a bit too often, but that doesn't mean he can't still spot the real thing. Moody was the best R the Ministry ever had. So, what are you saying? Said Harry slowly. Karkaroff's trying to kill me? But why? Cyrus hesitated. I've been hearing some very strange things, he said slowly. The Death Eaters seem to be a bit more active than usual lately. They showed themselves at the Quidditch World Cup, didn't they? Someone set off the Dark Mart. And then, did you hear about that Ministry Magic witch who's gone missing? Bertha Jorkins? Said Harry. Exactly. She disappeared in Albania, and that's definitely where Voldemort was rumored to be. And she would have known the Triwizard Tournament was coming up. Wasn't she? Yeah, but it's not very likely she'd have walked straight into Voldemort, is it? Said Harry. Listen, I knew Bertha Jorkins, said Cyrus grimly. She was at Hogwarts when I was, a few years above your dad and me, and she was an idiot. Very nosy, but no brains. None at all. It's not a good combination, Harry. I'd say she'd be very easy to lure into a trap. So Voldemort could have found out about the tournament? Said Harry. I'd say she'd be... Is that what you mean? You think Karkaroff might be here on his orders? I don't know, said Cyrus slowly. I just don't know. Karkaroff didn't strike me as the type of who'd go back to Voldemort unless he knew Voldemort was powerful enough to protect him. But whoever put your name in that goblet did it for a reason. And I can't help thinking that the tournament would be a very good way to attack you and make it look like an accident. Looks like a really good plan from where I'm standing, said Harry, grinning bleakly. They'll just have to stand back and let the dragons do their stuff. Right, these dragons, said Cyrus, speaking very quickly now. There's a way, Harry. Don't be tempted to try a stunning spell. Dragons are strong and too powerfully magical to be knocked out by a singular stunner. You need about half a dozen wizards at the same time to overcome a dragon. Yeah, I know. I just saw, said Harry. But you can do it alone. said Cyrus. But there is a way, and a simple spell all you need. But Harry held up a hand to silence him, his heart suddenly pounding as though it would burst. He could hear footsteps coming down the spiral staircase behind him. Go, he hissed at Cyrus. Go, there's someone coming. He scrambled to his feet, hiding in the fire. If someone saw Cyrus's face within the walls of Hogwarts, that would raise an almighty uproar. The ministry would get dragged in. Harry, would be questioned about Cyrus's whereabouts. He had a tiny pot in the fire behind him and knew Cyrus had gone. He watched the bottom of the spiral staircase, who had decided to go for a stroll at 1 o'clock in the morning and stop Cyrus from telling him how to get past the dragon. It was Ron, dressed in maroon paisley pajamas. Ron stopped dead facing Harry across the room and looked around. Who are you talking to? He said. What's that got to do with you? Harry snarled. What are you doing here at the time of the night? I just wondered where you... Ron broke off, shrugging. Nothing. I'm going back to bed. Just thought you'd come nosing around. Did you? Harry shouted. He knew that Ron had no idea what he walked in on, but knew he hadn't done it on purpose. But he didn't care. At this moment, he hated everything about Ron, right down to the several inches of bare ankles showing beneath his pajama trousers. Sorry about that, said Ron, his face reddening with anger. Should have realized you didn't want to be disturbed. I'll let you get on with practicing for your next interview in peace. Harry seized one of the Potter really stinks badges off the table and chucked it, as hard as he could, across the room. It hit Ron on the forehead and bounced off. There you go, Harry said. Something for you to wear on Tuesday. You might even have a scar now, if you're lucky. That's what you want, isn't it? He strode across the room toward the stairs. He half expected Ron to stop him. He would have even liked Ron to throw a punch at him. But Ron just stood there in his two small pajamas. And Harry, having stormed upstairs, lay awake in bed fuming for a long time afterward and didn't hear him come up to bed. Chapter 20. The First Task. Harry got up on Sunday morning and dressed so inattentively that it was a while before he realized he was trying to pull his hat onto his foot instead of his sock. When he finally got all his clothes to the right parts of his body, he hurried off to find Hermione, locating her at the Gryffindor table in the Great Hall, where she was eating breakfast with Ginny. Feeling too queasy to eat, Harry waited until Hermione had swallowed her last spoonful of porridge and dragged her out onto the grounds. There, she told her all about the dragons and about everything Cyrus had said. While they took another long walk around the lake, alarmed as she was by Cyrus's warning about Karkaroff, Hermione still thought the dragons were the more pressing problem. Let's just try and keep you alive until Tuesday evening, she said desperately. Then we can worry about Karkaroff. They walked 3 times around the lake, trying all the way to think of simple spells that would subdue a dragon. Nothing whatsoever occurred to them, so they retired to the library and said, Here, Harry pulled down every book he could find on dragons, and both of them set to work searching through the large pile, talent clipping by charms, treating scale raw. This is no good. It's for nutters like Hagrid who want to keep them healthy. Dragons are extremely difficult to slay, owing to the ancient magic that imbues their thick hides, which none but the most powerful spells can penetrate. But Cyrus said a simple one would do it. Let's try some simple spell books then, said Harry, throwing aside men who love dragons too much. He returned to the table with the pile of spell books, set them down, and began to flick through them each in turn. Hermione whispered nonstop at his elbows. Well, there are switching spells, but what's the point of switching it unless you swap this fang for wine gums or something? That would make it less dangerous. The trouble is, like that book said, it's not much is going to get through a dragon's hide. I say transfigure it, but it's something big. You really haven't got hope. I don't even Professor McGonagall unless you're supposed to put the spell on yourself. Maybe to give yourself extra powers, but they're not simple spells. I mean, we haven't done any of those in class. I only know about them because I've been doing OWL practice papers. Hermione, Harry said through gritted teeth. Will you shut up for a bit, please? I'm trying to concentrate. But all that happened when Hermione fell silent was that, thank you everyone, that's all for today. Bye, see you tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to read page 339. Yeah, I was really rushing. And by the way, I checked my analytics. It was 99-1. It's insane. Okay, anyways, bye, peace out.